Okay. Thank you for joining us at today's RestFest Film Festival filmmaker panel. Today we are joined by some of the filmmakers of the Rumbling program. We have begun recording, and I'm going to begin with a self-description and an introduction of myself. So my name is Bec Miriam. I'm the founder and organizer of RestFest Film Festival. I am a Crip Mad, ADHD, non-binary artist filmmaker, and I have dark brown curly hair and pale skin, and I live on Kumeyaay land. I'm wearing a striped shirt today, and I'm in front of lots of books and artwork. Here are the access measures we have for today. Automated closed captioning and transcription are enabled. To turn that on, at the bottom of the Zoom window, there is a little CC and a rounded rectangle, and a little arrow next to that to turn on transcription. If you're on a mobile device, swipe all the way to the right at the bottom bar, click the three dots inside a circle, and you'll be able to click captions and translations and view transcripts. For audio describing, visual descriptions will be provided by speakers. Please maximize your comfort, such as having your camera on or off, coming later, leaving early, lying down, stimming, wearing comfortable attire, communicating via chat only or not at all, and anything else you feel will maximize your comfort. And this is true for our panelists as well. Please try to keep your camera stable to accommodate dizziness. And a quiet/low sensory breakout room is available to enter at any time if you'd like to take a break without having to exit the event entirely. If you're there, please have your microphone muted and your camera off. Again, this is recorded, and for live access support, please feel free to reach out for assistance with anything via speaking aloud or by chatting Elisabetta, our wonderful access artist, and Soundwitch, who is here today. I think once I'm done with this little PowerPoint, I'd love to, Alexa will be able to introduce themselves as well. And now I will stop screen sharing and we'll take our group photo. Just gonna get set up for that. 1, 2, 3. Oh, again, 1, 2, 3. So nice. Thank you. And Alexa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey friends, I'm Alexa. I am a non-binary person. My skin is white with light olive tones. My hair is in a giant bun and with more hair falling down the side. I'm living inside of a little animation of pink candles with flames that slowly flicker from side to side. And because a superstar favorito is here with us today, I'm also bringing with me a tiny friend, a little white rat mouse wearing a little pink bandana. And also, yeah, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. I want to help. So if I can help answer a question, if you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be keeping an eye out on the chat.
Thank you, Alexa. I'm also very excited that we have got my co-programmer slash playwright, the wonderful Ms. Hashimoto, is here attending today. And I'd love to create space for Ms. as well, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Miz. As Beck said, I'm the co-programmer. I'm an East Asian person with shoulder length black hair and large round glasses. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you, Ms. So nice. Um, okay, to get us started, I would love to have each of you do a self-description and give a brief introduction or description of your film and what inspired you to make it. Elisabetta and Favorito, since your film is first in the program, would you like to go first?
Okay. Allora, I am Elisabetta. I'm here. I'm a artist, multimedia artist and filmmaker, and I'm here with the star of my film that is called A Healing Opera. And A Healing Opera is actually the beginning of our artistic collaboration. Me and Favorito are always together after that experience. So hello. So, Favorito is a very sexy, charming little bear, and we love red. We love red, so Favorito is wearing a red wool scarf with some pins. I'm wearing a red jumper. We are in Rome at the moment, so we are in the bedroom of a friend. You can see it's a dirty bedroom with laundry and food cat on the corner. But we are very grateful we are guests here, and I have short, medium brown hair and gold frame glasses and pale skin. And yes, and that's it. Thank you everyone for being here. Favorito, I don't know, Favorito, can you hear me if I speak? I
Yeah,
don't know. That's fine. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
love it. Would you mind telling us a bit about what inspired you to make your film and a bit about the film as well?
Yes, so the film, I completed it in 2022. It was my degree show project. I took a master in artist film and moving image in London at Goldsmith University, and 2022 it was soon after pandemic, so it was a weird period for everyone. Also, my master degree, half of the time we were still recluse. It was really very weird time. And apart, yeah, so I had that kind of global feeling that I'm sure you relate, mixed with my messed up feeling of being queer, neurodivergent, and yeah, and with problem with my culture of origin, with my Catholic family. I'm an alienated freak, and then I had a breakup. I had so many things to process that I really needed to do a project, a film about healing. That was really my main interest in that at the time. And that kind of period where I really tried everything. I started to practice Vipassana meditation, and I was reading about somatic practices, and everyone was telling to me that I had to transform my thoughts, my emotions, and be rather focused on my body. And also on the top, I was discovering queer joy, all the queer culture in London. So, in some way, I try to share my personal path and put it in a musical film. And then I mix some archive material I had. I film with my mobile phone. So some of the images were archive material that I started to film during the lockdown in nature. And observing nature in that way, it's probably also related to my neurodivergency. It's something that I also notice in many other artists of the festival, that
Hmm.
kind of focus that it also can be considered a grounding meditation technique. And then I also started to film with Favorito. Yeah, then yeah, I can speak hours, so you have to stop me when it's because it's a very intense personal project. So I can speak how long you want. So just that
That's
was the
great.
shortest possible version. Yes.
Thank you, both of you there. We got a small group today, so I love this. Lots of talking. Let's do it. Ruby.
Hi everyone. My name is Ruby. I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you all for being here too. I have curly hair like Beck, a little lighter, a little like red blonde, pale skin. I'm wearing a blue sweater, and I'm currently in New York, which is Lenape Indigenous land. My film is When the Camera Wasn't Running, which is a film based on personal memory. I'm from New Orleans originally, and I it was also my thesis in school for my undergrad project, and I didn't really do much directing or like writing in school. We didn't really have like a track program, but I was primarily interested in editing, and I kept looking back at my own family's archives. And I'm neurodivergent and very much come from like a neurodivergent family. So my parents like were always kind of doing, they like filmed a lot of my childhood on little like VHS cameras, as a way I think for them to help them like focus in their parenting a little bit too. Um, and I was like looking back at all these archives because I really trace experiencing the hurricane to in a way to why I like gravitated towards filmmaking because I wanted to like capture and have this sense of permanence. Um, and yeah, I guess I like kept working th through like different iterations of this project throughout my time in school, I realized. And um, I similarly felt like it was really, this film specifically felt like a big experience of like healing. I guess to be more specific, I was supposed to go to a birthday party that weekend. It wasn't my birthday party. But I was supposed to go to a birthday party that weekend, and I thought it was really interesting to look back at my brain as a child and how I processed that traumatic event because I remember for like months, if not years after, thinking like, I guess imagining the birthday party even when even when my family was leaving New Orleans, I was like in the car just kind of imagining what that birthday party would have looked like, and then imagining what my social life would have been like if I stayed in New Orleans and lived that experience. So I just thought it was interesting looking at personal memory, how a child's brain can kind of soften experiences like that, but then growing older and understanding what really happened, kind of like the tension of piecing together those two narratives and um, seeing reality and seeing my parents' reality. So this film kind of was a way to process and bring all of that together. And I think that was really healing for me. And then also through this film, getting to connect with a younger generation living in New Orleans now and getting to see them experience the joy, which I really felt when we were filming. I think that was also like energetically did something really interesting. Um, and I could also keep talking, so I'll leave it there for now. Yeah.
It's it's really cool to hear both of you talk about your films, and to hear all these parallels of them being a process of healing for yourselves as well, as creating this beautiful art, that I think can be healing as well for a lot of us watching, whether we, experience the hurricane ourselves or and yeah, Elisabetta, I was wondering about the story in the first act, when you talk about the pigeons. Could you share more about that and the inspiration for that
Yeah.
story?
It's a very true
It's
story.
true.
I lived with a pigeon for a while. And yeah, the story is exactly as it is. In that period, I spent the first lockdown period in Portugal because my ex-partner was based in Portugal. And yes, it was a long time that they really wanted to buy a pigeon at the market because in Portugal market is very common to send pigeon. Usually people train them to fly and they do competition to come back, that kind of traveling pigeon. I don't know the exact word, but I don't like birds in cages. And so I was always telling them, no, if you buy the pigeon, I would just open the cage. No way, I have a cage in my place. And then I don't know what happened. One day I get distracted and they bought the pigeon, and I was there, and they just say, but I just don't want a cage, and there was a misunderstanding, and so the market person, the trader, understood that usually when in Portugal people don't want to use cage, they cut the point of the wing so birds can only walk and they don't fly away. So it's a common practice there that is terrible. And so it was a huge misunderstanding. So in front of me, they cut the wings. It was terrifying. And at the end, we had these two pigeons walking free inside the apartment for some time. It was such a way. They were gorgeous. They were really very beautiful. Then, as I say in the story, once passed away, and then it was only one. It was so smart. They were showering together and with my partner, and it was super weird. And then we were breaking up, so I had all these confused feelings about um, yeah, this solitude, being alienated by my own relationship and exploring these poor pigeons that was trapped at home, but same time was enjoying and becoming friend. It was also weird. So I took a million photo of this pigeon. Originally, I wanted also to put in the film some images of the pigeon. Then I decided maybe I will do. I did some art prints with Lily. It's really a very beautiful pigeon. Then after the pigeon, when the pigeon actually could fly away and went away, I wasn't at home, but my ex-partner told me that then came to say, I'm flying away, just to say goodbye before flying. and then and then after a little time came back to show a new partner and then disappeared. And then, so I don't know if you follow the story, but it was really incredible. And so we were really sure that this pigeon probably was the cousin of my ex-partner incarnated. Uh, yeah, it was like I lived in magic for a while, and the pigeon was part of this magic. And yeah, for some reason, I've seen a lot of myself in that pigeon that was trying to do their best to adapt to the circumstances and enjoy new friendship. But same time, it was really cruel to see a pigeon with a wings cut in a human apartment. It was so complex. It was so complex that I just found that story could in some way really resonate with the complexity of my personal situation of the time and what was it. It was just a very complex, complicated story.
Yeah, it's such a complex and beautiful and resonant story that I was like, it must be, thought up. It must be fictional because it's just so,
And,
it feels so resonant.
it's really true. It's true that was mirroring themselves, and then yeah, and then I had also a photo of a bird, a black and white photo, and so Lily was staying or in front of the photo of the bird or in front of the mirror. Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a true story. Mhm.
Wow. Um, yeah,
Mhm.
speaking of playing with your own experiences and your own realities and bringing them into filmmaking, Ruby, I feel that the structure of the film is so playful, um, and there's so much room for exploration and sorting out, the story there, and that bringing in a lot of emotional content. And I'd love to hear more about how you worked on structure in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I did write a screenplay for it, and I'm pretty sure the structure is actually pretty clear to the screenplay, but then I wound up filming so much because I filmed some of it on a camcorder, and then I had the original footage and then I rescanned that. I like water damaged it and rescanned it. Um So I wound up having so much footage to play with. And like I said, I think because I have like an editing background, um, I really I was so nervous, honestly, to make a narrative film because I thought I was scared I was gonna get bored with it because I was scared I was just gonna like do the pass and then be like, okay, this is it. And I had it being my thesis, I had like 6 months for post-production pretty much, maybe a little less, but I really had so much fun, like being like, oh, where should the like water damage go? And like, what if this scene I did some playing around too at first, like seeing if I should make it an essay film because it wasn't landing for some people. So I was like moving some of the scenes around for a while. And I think I ultimately kept the structure how I wrote it, but that's very loose because it was like this happens and this happens and this happens, but then I wound up playing so much with like quick little moving little footage around or like bringing a weird sound in or something. So yeah, I would say like I really like the use of the word play because I feel like I did like play with it a lot and I really love that it was such like it really just felt like this emotional like journey of kind of just reacting to the footage and like feeling where everything should go, which I feel like I felt that a lot in a lot of the program too. How everyone like used their footage and a lot of it did feel kind of like playful in a way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Was the I know you have experience as an editor. What part of the process did feel most exciting to you, since you, I guess, had more involvement at all stages than maybe you do in other projects?
Um, I did really love being on set a lot more than I have in the past, like on other um mostly like student films. Because I feel like um I just had such a good dynamic with everyone that it felt very safe and like not stressful. So like I was mentioning like the joy, I feel like I felt that joy the most, like specifically the day that we were filming with all the kids. That was just like it felt so much just like a community. Um, and it felt very playful. So that was really fun. Like I was like, I feel like this is why I'm doing this because I'm like a little kid playing with a camera and I'm like with all these other kids and we're just having fun. And then the water damaging too. My dad, I went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras and I had already scanned all the film and I was burying it in my backyard and my dad came like 4 days later when I was digging it up and he was like I was saying to someone else what I was doing because one of my friends came over and my dad was like, "Oh, I thought you were just doing a ritual like for the film to turn out." And I was like, "No, this is purposeful. I wasn't just like I don't know what he thought I was up to, but I was like I was really nervous because I had reached out to a few filmmakers who I've seen do like chemical work with emulsion before for some advice, but I didn't do a test and I was like, I really hope this works out. And then it was so cool. When I like and I got to physically edit that together too, which was a really cool experience. So that was also like a very tactile, exciting part of the process to me that felt like very like magical and special. Yeah.
That is so magical. To get to work with film physically in your hands is like the best. Yeah. I um working with kids, I hear often, is like really hard. And something that I think is like a classic uh I don't know, film school rule of like you don't want to work with kids, you don't want to work with animals, but you did it and it's gorgeous and you're talking about how that was so much fun. And I don't know. I think I'm thinking about working with Favorito too, being maybe a similar experience, bringing life to this gorgeous bear. And I would love to hear more about the challenges and the beauty and the fun of working with both Favorito and the children. Elisabetta, do you want to start?
I first. Yes. Well, it was a privilege, first of all. And yeah, Favorito liked to be filmed, so actually it was kind of easy. It's more difficult now because it's long time I don't do other work with Favorito, so it's very nervous. Just, so now I brought a new project. I brought other three acts of the healing opera to do. They will be. The name is the Bear Manifesto, and it's all about bears because actually it's like 3 years that Favorito is stressing me out because I need to do it. So at a point it will happen. And then, yeah, so that was stressful. And then a lot of expectation also from all the bear community. Yeah. And it's very easy because Favorito, whatever you film them, is always come out very good, very spontaneous. So it was super easy. Yeah, the bath was controversial because Favorito hate having bath. So so yeah, just prefer to stay dirty. But yeah, and actually, yeah, I did when I did the film. I just filming with Favorito. I discovered how much closer we were, and before the film, I had many bears around me, and I because I did for the degree show. I did an installations full of bears. So like for 1 year, I was going around charity shop in London just buying bears. People in the shop was calling me the bear lady. That is weird. But yes, okay. And I was looking for old bear with a past. I wanted experienced bear. I wanted to work only with experienced bear. And then the degree show installation was all full with bear because I wanted people be surrounded by bears because bears were for me the not only I love the feeling of touching bear, the comfort they give you, it's also this, they are considered transitional objects. It's what they give to the kid, basically to learn to be alone and to be detached from the mom, like the blankets, no? So in some way, I think they were very symbolic about solitude. That was the main thing about the film project. So I think the film had to do something with the bears, like they were the soul they were representing me, and anyway, I really needed to have them around. So yes, just came out slowly, slowly. I think at the beginning, even my tutor didn't expect there were going to be so many bears and favoritos. So they expected pigeons, so, and then there were bears. Yes. Mm.
I'm muted. Did you grow up with bears as well? Is that something that was part of your past?
Oh, yes. Yes, I was always obsessed with bears. Always. Animals in general. I know I love animals. I love nature. And when I was kid, I had a mountain of any animals. and, and also, I was drawing a lot, and I wasn't able to draw humans. I always represent eventually human body, but always with animal head. And also, yeah, everyone knows that I was obsessed with bears and eventually cats, but a lot of bears. And yeah, and yeah, related to the theme of the festival, I think because then you do a lot of things without thinking about the meaning. I always knew I love to be surrounded by animals, and then when you are in an academic contest, you need to justify. So I tried to give sense of what I was doing anyway. And so I had to study the psychological reason and and all this neurodiversity and the touch and the sensorial potential. And, I definitely have something with touch. And so I always do sensorial installation and yes, I need yes to hold it. I love to work with. I am also textile artist because to work with fabric textile make me feel grounded. And yes, but yeah, at the end of the day, I love bears. Just yes.
That's awesome. I love that with both of these films that there's like it doesn't feel um like over thoughts, like over intellectualized, I guess, that it feels like it sits in the body and it feels very natural and like because of that it feels playful and authentic and exciting creatively. Um yeah. Ruby, would you like to speak on that or talk about, working with children? I think both would be really interesting.
Yeah, I also saw um Alexa their comment like kind of going off of that and like working with these collaborations. For anyone who can't read it, it's like going off of like working with children, knowing more about, yeah, just knowing more about that collaboration. Um, I knew that I had to have at least like Maya, the main child in the film, who's kind of like, I guess, a reflection of myself in some ways. Um, and casting her was like so easy. I think she was like the second person I met with. And she was just so mature and so smart and really like understood the emotion. I was so shocked the first time we met, and I was like really trying to understand if she understood. And it was just like, yeah, like she got everything so quickly, and she was so easy to work with. I never had to like wrangle her or anything. Like she really wanted to be there, and I could tell that. So that just made everything so easy. And then I did get a lot of pushback from my thesis professor about the birthday party scene, but I was like, with the healing thing, I was like, I feel like I really need to see this. Like, I need the birthday party to happen. Like, that's kind of the whole point of this. So I just kept like trusting that somehow it would work out. Um, and like 3 days before, I still only had like two kids confirmed. And I was like, maybe I have to turn this into like people are already evacuating. And then my neighbors on both sides actually in New Orleans have young kids. So it was just like them and all of their friends showed up. And I was really just thinking about, and once again, like I don't really have much experience making narrative work, but I was like, I feel like when you try to control something, the opposite of what you want happens most of the time. So I was like, how do I like set us up for success? Um, and I was just like, okay, first, I forget how I kind of like structured that day out really specifically. So I was like, first, I didn't include any of this, but I had a lot of scenes where they were just, or a lot of, we filmed a lot where they were just playing on the playground. So I was like, first, we're gonna play and like play tag and do all this stuff. So I had like three. I think first I just let them all play and like get to know each other, and we kind of just filmed them and like spoke with all the parents and everything. And then second, it was more like the blocked stuff that you see where they're like holding the candles, and then they played tag. And I was like, with all the blocking, I was like, guys, after this we get to eat cake with our hands. And I like had the cake out the whole time. So they were all like really excited about that, and they were all also just like having fun. And I was also passing the camera around a lot for them to see. And a few kids came up to me after and were like, I want to film something now. And I was like, I thought like including them and making them really feel like they got to play and understanding that we were all just playing was really important to me, and not being like the shot is so important. Like even when they were holding the candles, I was like, okay, let's try to get in this formation, but I wasn't like, okay, look serious. I was like, just the only direction I gave them for something like that was like, look at the camera. And some of them were smiling and some of them were like super serious. And I was like, I think this is so interesting. And like, you can, even that, you can kind of feel that it's like genuine in ways. Um, but yeah, it was like surprisingly, I did kind of like pre-organize it, but I also tried to not overly plan anything too much. Like I was like, this is, let's just like, they're here, they showed up. Let's see what happens. And it was really fun.
That's so cool. I love to hear that. What an interesting and exciting backstory, and to imagine this the set. Um Especially to hear like you're saying that it's a narrative film and you were able to allow for so much play and like so much freedom in the production process. Yeah, and I hope these kids become filmmakers. How
Me
cool.
too.
Yeah. Wow. Um, yeah, I'm curious for both of you what it means to you to be a disabled or neurodivergent filmmaker and how that impacts your work and your process. Elisabetta and Favorito, would you like to start us off here?
Okay. Yes. Well, uh, uh, just the fact that the practice of filming came out really as I film with my mobile phone, no? So it's just something that I can do any moment, and it's a form of meditation. Or I just stay a lot of time alone in nature, fixing details. I think it's super neurodivergent as a practice itself, just sitting 1 hour in front of a flower. I do wait and just make me feel. Yeah, make me feel grounded, make me feel focused and connected. I call as I had this, I put all these images I take all the time in a sort of personal archive. I named the archive Looking for a Friend because I was just walking randomly looking for something that could give me this feeling of friendship connection. So pieces of trash, flowers, insects, could be really anything. And I think, yeah, and I have to do that alone because when I try with friends, it's impossible because they don't understand the time I need to do that to feel really connected. I think I noticed also in other artists of the festival, they need to be really focused on details and rather than in a big landscape. I think it's related to the neurodivergency. So I think yes, I can see. And also there is I laugh a lot. There is that film in the festival all with circle. And I related a lot in that because I also film a lot of, there is a flower that is a circle in the screen. Actually, I collect so many flower and circular images that I film it exactly in the same way. There is some kind of satisfaction in geometry. I think it's how our strange kind of brain works. And yeah, so I would say these are the weird things. But yeah. Then also the structure of the film because you can imagine with this archive full of images, it's a mess, because make me have panic attack, the idea to edit this mountain of material. And then I found out that editing short acts, or I started with film that lasts only 1 minute. It's a kind of structure that helped me to organize my material and not get lost in that. So also do individual short project and then I can combine. It's related to my difficulty in have the big picture and just build slowly, slowly. Yeah.
That's so interesting. The different ways that you made it like close, like a closeness to the material and the creative process, making it so natural. Um, yeah, I find it really inspiring, and it felt very comfortable too as a neurodivergent person to sit with the footage and to be brought so closely to these sea creatures and the I mean Favorito also and the feathers and the flowers. So yeah, yeah, it's such an immersive experience.
Yeah, I think probably it was just I was really experiencing that, and then I tried to share. But I think it's related to maybe that need of calmness that we have, the slow speed in a fast world. So I had paranoia that my films are too slow, too boring. But then exactly what I really need. I need really slowness. It's good that I'm not the only one that yes, we can share.
Yeah, and there's that slowness that also contrasts and also works closely with the music that's so like upbeat and fun and yeah.
Yeah, that actually was a collaboration because I'm not the musician, the composer. I collaborated with a super talented musician, Fruity Pebble, that was very intense, that is also neurodivergence and bipolar, completely mad. So, so it was very interesting because I asked them, I didn't know anyone at the time in London because I had just moved there to study and we were locked for lockdown. So I really didn't know what to do. I met that person on Spare Room. It's not the platform to look for flatmates when I was looking for a I read in their profile that they were a musician. It just came out, well, I just did for instinct a lot of strange things, and then I end up, I understood we had a lot in common, and they were also super alienated and understanding the theme of the work I was doing very deeply. They were suffering of depression. And then when I asked to work out the music of the film with me, it was very easy. There were things that to do the first two acts of the film was very easy for them. And because they relate a lot with the first act to create this feeling of alienation and then to work on that beautiful song of the upside down cake with their own voice. It was gorgeous. And then it was very difficult for them to relate with the third act about with all that queer joy and expression because it was so depressed that that to express that joy for them was so difficult. And so I gave them pieces of music that I love, a bass from another DJ that I asked, but we can do it again together alone. We do a new one. And it was so much suffering. They gave me a million version of the song and was always too much depressed. It just came out at the very last moment, just really 1 week before the degree show. And finally we had the piece because yeah, it was all very very authentic, no? So they couldn't pretend to be happy. So we had to spend time together to sing together. It was really a process. to-
Wow.
Mm.
And it really came together. The soundtrack's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I love the soundtrack.
Ah. Ruby, same question. What does it mean to you to be disabled, neurodivergent, filmmaker, and how that affects your work and your process?
Um, the first thing that comes to me, I've talked a lot to one of my mentors, um, and like one of my really close friends who's also a filmmaker about this. And I, of course, like look at myself and look at my life, and I'm like, I am who I am because I feel like for times I've gone through periods where I'm like, oh, I wish like I didn't have to deal with this. Like, why, like, why do I have to deal with all of these, like, doing something so normal sometimes feels like you have to jump through all of these hoops to, like, just go live your day. Um, but then I think about, like, I think the biggest thing I'm grateful for is how sensitive I am. And I think, like, I really learned through this project that, like, whether it's like looking at the footage or like looking at someone on set, just like being able to feel how to make something that's not, I guess, especially being an artist in an industry that can be so like intense and can like really, I'm trying to think of the word, just like exploitative, be so exploitative, with people and with emotions, and being able to also work with so many other people who are neurodivergent and who are like going through things, and to have like true understanding there where it's like if you can't show up today, if you can't do this, if we need to change a timeline, whatever, like it's not that big of a deal. Um, and that makes me really like proud actually of how I show up and how I feel like I showed up in this project. But I think it's also really amazing that I can like focus so intensely on something at the same time, because that's not always the case for me. I'm like, among other things, like super ADHD. And when I'm like working on something like just a project that I'm really passionate about, I like literally will like forget to eat. Like I'm just like working on something all day and I'm so like locked in, and that just like also signals to me in my body that I'm like doing what I'm supposed to be doing and doing something I love. Um, so yeah, I'm really grateful, and it's something I've been thinking a lot about now that I'm like out of school and trying to figure out where I want to be and like how much I want to be involved, and like whether I make this something like full time that, you know, supports me every day, and like how I support myself living here, but like also making sure I show up in a way that's A, like sustainable for myself, but also like sustainable in a way that like in a future of filmmaking practices that like I want to be a part of and hope that other people can be a part of too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it super does. And the exploitative nature of the industry is like
Mm.
it's so, so potent. And to hear about how you made your production process so flexible and sensitive is so great to hear. And to be able to hear those stories as, in these filmmaking spaces is so important. So thank you for sharing that. If anyone here has any questions, you're welcome to ask, put them in the chat, or speak out loud. I also have a million questions, and I know the filmmakers, I'm sure, have a lot to share as well. So I want to create space for that. Um, yeah, I I don't know. Do either of you have anything that you would like to share before I just keep asking you guided questions? Favorito looks like maybe has something to say.
Mm.
I have a
Favorito,
question. Oh, go ahead.
tell me, No, no,
Oh,
no, no, of
I
course
have a
you.
question for you. I'm curious if in like an academic environment, if you ever struggled with people understanding your work at all, because that was something that and I think that kind of ties into like the neurodivergence of everything. Like even sometimes I feel like the structure in a way where like it seems like everyone here understands the films, but I've sometimes found that like in such an academic environment, did you feel like you did have to like defend and explain?
Yeah, it's especially at the beginning because the master, at the beginning, I had to write about what I wanted to do, no? So it was kind of a research about all the things that I wanted to put it in the film. And I took a very bad mark because they thought it was too much, that I couldn't put all that stuff in a film, that it was not focused. Had a very bad impact. When they've seen the first act and what I was doing, they understood, oh, but actually it's possible. Just they thought I couldn't manage to put all that themes in the film and in the installation. They thought it was confusing until they really needed to see it finished. And probably because I'm not very good also in explaining with the words. I'm definitely a visual person. And with the words, I'm not really super good. So I take responsibility, but also because I layer too many things and then it became confusing to layer with words if you are not really very good with words. And maybe with the images, it's easier to melt and to make something that makes sense for me. But yeah, that was the beginning in academic context was really traumatic. They just thought it was a mess. Yeah, and yeah, well, it was almost difficult. It was a very serious master. Everyone was taking themselves so seriously. And, and I struggled, remember also to understand what people were speaking about. They were speaking with a mask, and they were
Mhm.
keeping all the window open because of COVID, and so it was full of ambient sound. So with the mask, it was so frustrating. I didn't understand anything people was speaking about. So I was feeling even more alienated than usual. And I was, that everyone was thinking I was an idiot filming with the bears, because I was always around with Favorito. They were thinking I was an idiot. It was a very serious academic context. So yeah, it was very difficult. It was very difficult. And yeah, people didn't understand if I was doing a project for kids. I don't know. I don't think all academic contexts are like that. That was a small group, and in small groups you can be very lucky or it can be a nightmare. You know, it was all people where they were all very straight, very serious kind of filmmaker interested in tech, and I was just filming with my mobile phone with a bear. It was just I was such a freak out of context. So yeah, it was very difficult. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I wasn't very able to defend my ideas. I think just they understood me a little bit more when it was finished because they enjoyed the installation. Everyone was going to sit in my installation because it was super comfy to stay with all these bears and pillow. But before that was, yeah, you know, so the queerness, it was a very straight environment. They really didn't get me. It was difficult. Did you experience the same?
Yeah, I feel like no one really, I don't want to say no one, but my professors at the very least, and like some of my peers didn't really understand. And it was same thing until I started like showing edits and iterations. Then I was getting more helpful feedback. But before, um, I felt like I was spending so much energy just trying to like come up with ways to defend all of my decisions instead of just being like, I don't know, I just feel like like I feel like even Beck was saying this earlier, like I kind of with like the structure of our films and like the playfulness of them, I feel like there's not always a clear like this is why I'm doing something, and then after someone will be like, "Oh, I really noticed this," or like this symbolically is so interesting, and it's like, "Oh yeah, that's probably true, but that wasn't a conscious decision."
Mm.
But it's difficult when you work a different way and there's an expected structure that's probably not just academic, but I do think it's like a very specific um a specific experience, I guess, to make something in a group with like peers in that way, as opposed to making something on your own where you can like I feel like if I were to make a film now, I would just share it with people who I know already understand like my process and the kind of work that I make.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, okay. But I had a previous academic experience that was much easier. It depends a
Mm.
lot on the persons, just the group of the master was particularly straight and serious, so I had nothing in common. In the previous group, it was kind of softer atmosphere, and the teacher was able to hold, and so actually it was very encouraging. So maybe I shouldn't generalize. It
Oh
really
yeah, yeah.
depends on the person, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it needs some luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I wanted to ask you about, yeah, it's a Super 8. No, what did you use to film? It's so gorgeous. I love the colors, everything. It's great.
Thank you. I filmed on actually three different formats.
Three.
So I filmed on the high 8 camcorder, which is just like the little old tapes, and that was just the one my I had with my parents growing up. And then we had a Super 8 for the all the birthday party stuff so that they could be like my DP is a good friend of mine and they wanted to be able to like run around with the kids. So we decided, and they already had a Super 8, so we decided to film that with Super 8. And then my school had an old 16 millimeter camera, and we did that for the specifically so I could water damage it after, which I knew going in, because we had the facilities to scan the 16, but not Super 8.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Especially the birthday part. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's so much range in both of your films that I think there's such a like a variety of stylistic choices that really come together beautifully. Um, we are reaching the end of our time. I can't believe it's already been an hour. There's just like so much to talk about and so much to learn about both of you and your films. Um, but yeah, here we are. I'm so grateful to both of you and grateful to everyone for coming. And thank you to Alexa for being here and Miss for being here and co-programming with me. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing your gorgeous work. Thank you, Elisabetta and Favorito and Ruby. And if you haven't seen these gorgeous films yet, they are available to watch. And yeah, they're available to watch until the end of the month. If you start watching, though, whenever you start, you'll still have 28 days to finish because grip time. So just make sure you press play before the festival ends. I see a chat I'd love to read aloud from Moira, another one of our programmed filmmakers. Hi, everybody. Thanks for making a cozy and fun space. Thanks, Ruby and Elisabetta and Favorito, for sharing so much with us. Thanks, Bec
Mhm.
and me and Ms. for making the festival happen and for all your generosity. Thanks, Alexa, for your gorgeous accessibility support. Thank you, Moira. And we've also got lots more events. There's one later today, depending on your time zone. So hope to see you soon, and thank
Uh,
you.
we will try to join. Thank you so much, everyone. Really, thank you.
Thank you all.
Wow.
Thanks.
So Favorito is excited to be famous.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, Favorito.
Yes.